Hey, movie lovers, welcome to another movie review. Today, we are going to be reviewing the movie Behind the Scenes. Behind the Scenes was produced by the one and only Funke Akindele. Now, if you haven't seen the movie, please go to Netflix and go watch it. Now, the movie Behind the Scene was released last year, 2025, although it was showing in the cinemas, but now the movie is currently showing on Netflix. So, if you haven't seen the movie, kindly go on Netflix and go watch it. Here, we're going to give a bit of spoilers for those who haven't watched it. So, if you haven't watched it, just head over to Netflix and watch the movie. Now let's talk about the story of the movie. But before I talk about the story of the movies, we had a few cast and crew. First, we have Funke Akindele herself. We also have Scarlett Gomez. We had Uzor Arukwe. We have Toby Bakri. Had Uche Montana, to mention a few. Behind the scene is a family drama. It's centered around wealth, centered around a woman's generosity to her family members. Now, about the story of the movie. So the movie was centered around a young lady who was pretty wealthy. She had siblings, a elder sister. The wealthy lady was played by Scarlett Gomez, while the elder sister was played by Funke Akindele, and the junior brother was played by Toby Bakri. Now, the middle sister happens to be the wealthy one, and she kept on, giving money to her siblings, taking care of them, ensuring that they are fine and all that. But have some family members will be, you know, they kept on asking for money and asking for money, even though sometimes the reasons is just exorbitant, right? Some of them will they'll keep asking for money, and she keeps giving them because of course she lost her family. Now, who else would she give her money to if not her family members, right? So or she also has friends too. Uche Montana was one of her friends. V also played one of her friends as well. She also used to give to her friends. One of her friends was a PR expert, while the other one it was into fashion, yes. And as along the line in the movie, the wealthy woman, she was diagnosed of lupus. Lupus is a disease that has no cure. All right. And however, after realizing that she had the disease, she also had a bit of setback in her business. She was into real estate. She had a bit of setback in her business. So she was really in a very, very tight corner. And she also had a friend who's Arukwe was her friend and her lawyer. He gives her like legal advice for her business, and sometimes she was like it's just a bit of personal it's just a bit of what would I call it now, advice for her regarding family, how she spends her money and all. But now she won't listen because she likes her family, so she hardly listens to his advice when it comes to her spending her money. Now, fortunately and unfortunately for her, she was in this dire situation, and she was in a crossroad. Her business was in shambles. um she had this deadly this terminal illness, right, that has no cure. And she was just scared for her children, considering the fact that her own husband, her children's father, were also no they're not in the picture, or rather I think the father was late, right? So she was worried, she was concerned, like, who will take care of our children? How will our children fare if she's not around? So she decided to say, you know what, why don't she pretend, fake her death, just so that she can see, behind the scenes, like, what if the worst happened? What would they be able to take care of my children? Would they be able to do this? What is going to happen? She just really wants to see, just, God forbid, in case, she takes her last breath. And that is, I would say, one of the essence of that movie, right? Which was her having to see what will become of her family if she was no longer, in the picture, if she was no longer alive. Now, and of course, well, the friend didn't want to, the lawyer, which was Uzor, didn't want to go with the plan, but of course, he had to. After a series of convincing, they went ahead with the plan. And so, even I was shocked. Even I was shocked. Imagine this is a woman, a successful woman who has been giving money to her sisters, to her sister, Funke Akindele, and her brother, Toby Bakri. She has been giving them money in the past, so much money in the millions. And of course, they faked the whole burial scene and all that. She gave a what's it called, a video testimony of her video. She said she just that they should all respect her wishes. They should not announce it in the next 2 weeks, before they announce. I guess she wanted it to last for 2 weeks, right? Before they announced that her death to the public, so it should just be within the family, all that. And so eventually, when all that passed, he started seeing the real picture. He started seeing like the outcome, right? For example, this the other sister, which was played by Funke Akindele, started maltreating her children, started, not taking care of the children. The children were they couldn't eat, they were just really being nasty to her own children. And she was seeing all that behind the scene. Eventually, she also saw how her friend, one of her friends, Uche Montana, how Uche Montana sabotaged her business. How she brought about the whole destruction to her business. It was a really long story. Please go watch the full movie for more context of what happened. Now, upon seeing all this and all, she couldn't take it anymore. In fact, it got to the extent that her children, the extent at which Funke Akindele dealt with, the extent at which Funke Akindele dealt with her children, they no, the junior brother, which was Toby Bakre, he came, he wanted to was like, I don't like how these kids are being fed. He doesn't like how they are being taken care of. So he was like, what, you guys come to my house, I'll take care of you. He took the kids to his own house, and unfortunately, his own wife was even maltreating these children, and it was so bad that those ones even ran away. They were lucky enough they could call the help. Um, so it was the help that came and took the children, pending till God knows when, right? And eventually she couldn't take it anymore. So many things happened, and eventually she had to reveal herself. She revealed herself to her family, and it was a shock. Like everybody, of course, the children didn't know that the mother died because they kept the information away from the children, right? But they were happy to see their mom come back to life. When Kakindele, the brothers, everybody was shocked to see her. And she told them, you know what, I am alive, I'm not dead. I had to go away just to see what was going to, happen. And, it was quite shocking to see that. Of course, the disappointment was all over her sister's face. The disappointment was just everywhere. Please go to Netflix and go watch the whole movie if you haven't seen it. What's my take on the movie? The movie is quite a beautiful. The message was actually very beautiful, and it was well put together, especially in the context of in this context, Nigeria, where we have your family. You want to take your children to keep with your sisters, your elder sisters, and all, and you expect that this person is going to take care of your child just like you would take care of their own child. But to see that not being well replicated was very heartbreaking. It was really, really heartbreaking to see the elder sister maltreat the genius, the wealthy sister's kids. He's someone that has given you money in millions, but yet you can't do just one thing. Even if you're not going to love them, at least take care of them, which is the minimum. She didn't do that, right? And it was quite sad. She took over her house and cars, sold her cars. It was just a lot, right? And it was very disappointing. Even her herself, she realized that this was extremely disappointing. So first of all, I'll say it was a very good act. The cast and crew, Toby Backward nailed his role. Scarlett Gomez nailed her role. Everybody nailed their performance. I'll give the movie a solid 9/10. So if you haven't seen the movie, please go to Netflix and watch the movie. It's really a good one, and we highly highly recommend. All right, guys, thank you for listening. So we'll come your way again. Please like, put a comment, tell us what you think about the movie. Do you think the storyline was awesome? Tell us what do you think about the acting, the cast, the crew. So let us know in the comment section. Thank you guys for watching.